While tensions at Columbia University in New York are at a fever pitch as in-person classes are canceled in the wake of the protests over the Israel-Hamas war.
No! We want justice, you say how! We want justice, you say how!
While demonstrations raged throughout the weekend, police arrested more than 100 pro-Palestinian protesters who set up an encampment at the Ivy League school. Similar protests have sprung up at the University of Michigan, MIT, Princeton, and Yale, where just this morning, about 45 protesters were arrested. Let's bring in Robert George, McCormick Professor of Jurisprudence and Director of the James Madison Program in American Ideals and Institutions at Princeton University. Professor George, always great to be with you. A lot to unpack here, but first, I want to get your thoughts on what we have been seeing on college campuses in recent days, in particular at Columbia, where, as we know, the school's Orthodox rabbi told Jewish students not to go on campus for their own safety, and classes are now canceled. What do you have to say about all this?
Well, Tracy, first, thanks for having me back on the show. It's a pleasure to be back with you. I'm grieved by what we're seeing on our college campuses. I'm particularly grieved by the revival of anti-Semitism. Our Jewish students, our brothers and sisters in the faith, as Pope John Paul II described our Jewish friends, they have been here before. They have been victimized throughout history, including by people speaking in the name of the church, for their ethnic background, for their religious beliefs. And it's a tragedy to see this revived in our country, and a special tragedy to see it happening on college campuses.
Absolutely.
Now, it's not that all the protesters who are protesting in favor of the Palestinian cause are anti-Jewish or anti-Semitic. It is not that the Israeli government should be immunized from criticism. It shouldn't be. But mixed with legitimate protest, we're finding the intimidation, the harassment, the vilification of Jewish students simply because they're Jewish. And this is absolutely unacceptable. The great document Nostra Aetate of the Second Vatican Council condemned definitively all forms of anti-Semitism, all forms of hatred and discrimination against Jews or anybody else. So it's very important for those of us who are Catholic to remember the teaching of our faith on this matter and on this Passover, to stand in solidarity with our Jewish brothers and sisters when they are under attack simply for being Jewish.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, Columbia isn't the only university where these protests are taking place. Also on your campus at Princeton. Can you tell us what you are seeing and hearing there on campus?
Well, fortunately, here at Princeton, we have not had anything as dramatic and alarming and worrying as we've seen, for example, at Columbia and at some other places. The protests here so far have been peaceful. They have been they've not been on the scale, anything like the scale that we've seen at Columbia and Yale. Our local Jewish leaders have not felt forced to advise Jewish students to return home, thank God. That's a tragedy that at Columbia University, the Orthodox Jewish rabbi, the leader of the Yavna group, as it's called at Columbia, felt forced to advise his flock, his students, to go home simply because they were Jewish, and Columbia had become an unsafe place for Jewish students. And by unsafe, we don't mean unsafe in some figurative sense where people might be offended and feel hurt. No. We're talking about the threat of actual violence. We're talking about intimidation and incitement. I'm for free speech. I'm a strong, as you know, Tracy, I'm a very strong defender of free speech. Free speech for people, whether they are pro-Palestinian, whether they are pro-Israeli, no matter where their stance is. And I will defend and have defended the free speech of people across the spectrum. But there is a difference between free speech and threats, intimidation, bullying, harassment, and certainly violence, like we have seen at both Columbia and Yale.
Yeah, it is all shocking. Professor George, we only have about 30 seconds left or so, but where do you see this going, and what do you think needs to happen in order to lower the temperature here?
Well, I think it would be good for university presidents to encourage dialogue, get leaders, especially faculty people on both sides of the issue, to sit down in public circumstances and with civility and goodwill and mutual respect, debate the issues about the Middle East, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, set a good example, model the kind of behavior that we want. I have to tell you, Tracy, I don't envy university presidents right now. They are in a very, very difficult position. But here's where leadership makes the difference. Here's where statesmanship makes the difference. We need university presidents to stand up and be statesmen, to be true leaders. And they have resources on their campuses. They have faculty members embodying a very wide range of views, who they should call on to model in public debates the kind of mutually respectful, civil, truth-seeking, mutually respecting discourse that we want from our students. Students will rise, I think, to the occasion if we provide the models and the examples, but it's up to us, the grown-ups, the faculty, the administration, to provide good role models.
Yeah, Robbie, such great insights as always. Thank you so much for coming on. God bless.
My pleasure. Thank you.